Good morning. I'm Tom Johnson, a publisher of Stew News. Welcome to another edition of Fair Game Laguna Beach. I'm joined by Mayor Sue Kempf. Sue, great to see you.
Great to see you, Tom.
Hope you had another great week.
Yeah, pretty good.
I
Pretty
mean,
good.
how can you not get up in the morning and enjoy looking out and saying, how did I get lucky to be in Laguna Beach?
No, it's incredible. I was walking around Heisler Park yesterday. It just it just kind of washes over you how beautiful our town is. It's incredible.
I know if I would love to look out on that view every morning and just get excited about life.
Yeah.
So we had an election this week. Any surprises or, what does that mean for, I know it's not a local election for Laguna Beach, but what are the kind of impacts something like that has for you?
Well, mainly I'm concerned about the 47th congressional race because, we're in that district. And so it looks like, Dave Minn's going to be running against Scott Baugh. It's important to us because, we meet with our legislators, city staff and the mayor, and sometimes the mayor pro tem. We meet with, county, state, and our congressional representatives for things that we need. We have a, legislative platform every year. So, we're really interested in, who gets elected, what help could we get, forging good relationships with our representatives. So it's significant for us.
Yeah, I was at a function earlier this week speaking at a breakfast, and I wish there was more excitement over the whole election process. It seems like this one kind of went past as a little, downtrodden or whatever. I hope it gets a lot more excitement come November.
Well, yeah, and the 18 to 34-year-olds, they didn't show up. In the voter turnout in the county, I think was around 16%. So when you think about that, that's just really pathetic. And you get 16% of the voters controlling who goes on the November ballot. That's kind of sad. And we need to do a lot better on that, getting people out. I know people don't get excited about, March elections, but they need to. It's really, really important.
Well, that tees the whole thing up for November, so it is really important. But
Right.
anyway, okay, at the city, I know Shawn Joyce, who has done just a terrific job. Kudos to the city council for bringing Shawn in, but he is nearing the end of his service time.
Mhm.
Not that he wants to necessarily go early or you want to let him go early, but it's kind of just part of his retirement. Why don't you explain a little bit about that and what might be the follow-up plan until we get that person permanently in that seat?
Well, Shawn will be with us until, roughly the end of March. The way their retirement works, I don't know all the details. It's somewhat complicated, but he can come back as an interim city manager or any other role for a certain number of hours every year, I think, according to their retirement. So it's a kind of a good thing because you don't want people retiring and getting a nice retirement package and turning around and coming right back to work and getting kind of double dipping. So it kind of eliminates that in a way. And then the other, in a sense, though, it does help out cities where we need help, kind of on a short-term basis and get an experienced person in. So that's helpful. He's been a great interim city manager. I really like him. He's smart. He knows his way around. He knows as an interim what to work on, what to leave alone. Don't dive too deeply, but make sure you keep the city running well, and any really problems that bubble up to the surface, we address those. We're still in the process of looking for a city manager. It's a longer process probably than we all anticipated, but it is what it is. And I can't talk about the specifics because it's closed session.
Right.
And all personnel matters, even public or private sector, are usually confidential. So we're still in the process, and whether or not we bring in another interim just depends on kind of a number of things.
Okay. I think again, I think you have done a wonderful job with Shawn. I think Shawn came in and it's nice because he didn't just come in and sit in the office. He's actually gone out there and gotten engaged in the community, and he's put out not a lot of fires because there weren't a lot of fires to put out, but he met with enough people that I really believe that Laguna Beach has kind of gotten a lot of that past contentiousness behind them right now. And I think it's going to be real optimistic when a new person does get in.
Right. We just, we have a good town. We need to remember that. We don't have a lot of things wrong. Do we have things we need to work on? Yes, like every other city. But overall, our city runs just fine.
So speaking of that, you and Mark at last week's council meeting were appointed for the ad hoc committee for the Promenade.
Right.
That's such an exciting part of, I think, the future of Laguna Beach. Kind of as the center point and everything. First of all, how do you feel about being a part of that process? And then I know it's really early in everything, and there's a long, way to go and people to get engaged and things like that. But what do you see to get it going?
Well, we had a discussion at the council meeting. I don't remember when it was, but what the council direction was that we do a bake-off. We get, 3 or so independent, architectural firms to come in, and we kind of do like you see who has the best plan. But and Mark and I were appointed the subcommittee, and subsequent to that, so Mark and I have started talking about what we'd like to do. And I think we kind of have a different idea. So I think we're going to come back to council probably late April with a kind of a different recommendation. I think I mentioned in the council meeting that we want to leverage some of our local talent. And so we're looking at that. And we actually have a meeting today. We have a project manager assigned now at the city. So that's about as far as we've gotten.
Okay.
But we're going to be forming up our plan. And in terms of, what skill sets we might want to have working with us, what our timeline would be, when our checkpoint meetings would be to check in with the public, kind of where we are in the process, milestones, if you will. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm excited about working. I like working with Mark anyway. He has a good vision of the town. He's really smart. He knows a lot of people in town. And so we're going to look to get a good inclusive process, and we're going to try to leverage our talent in town.
Great. Now just kind of remind me who you have, you and Mark, who else is going to be on that group to move it forward?
Well, we don't know. We're gonna talk about that today.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
yeah, we're gonna map that out.
That's
So
what
more
you
to
were
come
talking.
on that.
Great. Another big issue in town, and it's not so much a city issue, although it's kind of overlapping into the city, is first of all, you have the whole St. Catherine area that the city purchased recently to develop and move forward and things like that. I don't know if it's there or someplace else, but you've been talking about a community pool. At the same time, at Laguna Beach High School, they are moving kind of on a fast pace to do a number of changes with the placement of the district office, some new buildings on campus, maybe changing the swimming pool, the tennis courts, some parking lots and all. We have gotten some notification on people that are very concerned about the increase in size of the swimming pool up there and how it's going to affect the neighborhoods. That coupled with a potential separate community pool in Laguna Beach, it kind of brings to an interesting head that I believe that's going to be on your agenda next time out, the community pool. I would imagine you're going to get people engaged with the high school there. How do you look at those two projects? Is there a way that one offsets the other, or where do we go from here?
So, Bob Whalen and I are the subcommittee on that. And so we've been having a lot of meetings with the school district, and we've also met with some of the, the groups in town that are have an opposite view. So I think, there's a couple things at play here. One is that by state law, schools can do kind of what they want with their own properties. And, they're subject to CEQA and things like that, but they don't have what I would call the same kind of rigor we have in the city processes. So that's a bit of an anomaly. But I think that, if a macro level, you look at it, anytime you try to do anything in this town, because we're largely built out and everything's tight. So it's not like we're urban where we have these big open areas where we can have, 4 baseball fields and a pickleball, arena or something. We don't have any of that. So when you want to use the lights longer at Riddle Field, or you want to use the Irvine Bowl, or you want to build a larger pool, or you want to put a pickleball court somewhere, you have issues you have to consider. So what we're going to be bringing forward on the 12th is, does the city want to participate in a 50-meter pool? Because the school district has said we're building a 50-meter pool. So the question is, does the city want to participate in the building of a 50-meter pool? Or would we want to build our own pool? Because the way it's structured now, we participate on a financial level, commensurate with our usage. So in other words, city programs have and city use has about 70% of the pool, and school use is about 30%. So the question is, would we want to participate at the same level, both financially and, ongoing operational expenses, or would we rather build our own pool? So it'd be a separate and apart. So that's what's going to be, or build or do both. So that's kind of what's going to be framed up for discussion on March 12th.
Okay, perfect.
Next Tuesday.
It's interesting listening to you because you have to make these difficult decisions. And, when I got into the newspapering business, I always had to remind myself that I'm not here to make friends every day. And I'm sure you feel some of that, because sometimes you just look out and, there's a contentious issue and you look at it from all sides, and you got to make the tough decisions, and it doesn't always make everybody happy.
That's right. We're probably going to have a room full of people, but you have to remember, just try to make fact-based decisions as best you can. Even if you have like a kind of an emotional bent one way or the other, you need to just look at it from the facts. Because if you let your emotions control your judgment, you're often not going to make the right decision.
Yeah, right.
So that's the way I look at it.
So a fun event is coming up in Laguna Beach, Arbor Day celebration. And, Arbor Day is something that should be celebrated in a community like Laguna Beach,
Right.
trees. And I know there's some festivities going on. Talk to us about those. And are you involved? And tell me about it.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little introduction. What I love about Arbor Day is we have the kids out there.
Mhm.
And usually we plant a tree and they have their shovels, and they participate. It's just it's a very upbeat event. A lot of people come out for it. We're a Tree City USA, and it's one of these little community events that we have that I think people really like and appreciate.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fun thing. And I so agree with you on kids. Again, getting back to some political discussions I've had because of election day around and everything like that. It is so important to keep our kids, which is that, next generation coming up that we're leaving this world to.
Right.
It's always great to get them engaged in different things. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. So just as an aside along those lines, last Friday I threw out the first pitch for the opening of the Laguna Beach Little League at Riddle Field. It's so fun. So I had a 10-year-old as my catcher, Wes Peters. He's a 10-year-old, plays on the 12-year-old team. But they had they had the hamburgers going out there. They had, their coffee cart. They had all their jersey sales. They had music, and then they had I think this fourth grader named Amelia. She sang, the national anthem, and my catcher did the Pledge of Allegiance. We had the veterans out there, last year's All-Star team. And it was fantastic. It was so fun. And this little guy that was my catcher comes up to me and he said, "Hey, Mayor, you want to warm up?" I said, "Sure." So we're throwing the ball on the sidelines, and then we go out to throw out the first pitch. So I didn't stand on the mound. It's 45 feet. So, I can throw a ball, but I think I'll stand on the grass. So just before I'm ready to throw it, he comes out to me and he says, "Just look for my mitt, Mayor." I said, "Okay, I got it."
That's
It was
right.
really,
Did you
it
throw
was
on
so
the riser or the fastball?
I threw it a little bit high. Mark Christie said, he was there, "Don't throw it in the dirt."
Yeah, right.
I'm not throwing the ball in the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go online, you can go in on YouTube and you can check out famous people that threw out first pitches and stuff. It's hysterical
It's
because
hysterical.
I'm sure every one of them warms up beforehand, then when the time comes, it completely leaves them. So
Well,
good for
you know,
you.
the other thing, Tom, is it's really hard to throw a strike to a 10-year-old because they're tiny.
Right.
You are going to throw it in the dirt if you try to throw a strike. So I threw
Sure.
it about head high for him. He just kind of stood up and got his feet up there.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else hot in town that we should touch on before we say goodbye?
No, we're just preparing for the State of the City, which is going to be, at the Montage on April 2nd. So I don't know if it's sold out, but it usually sells out. So we've been
Okay.
working on that. And, we just have a lot going on in town. It did rain on the parade.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I
Yeah,
was
it
like,
wasn't our parade, but it did.
I know, I was so worried on Saturday, like, oh, if it's a clear day, I'm gonna feel so bad. The council doesn't make the call, but it's
I
still,
know.
you
You
just
see
kind of,
that people that work so hard on that parade,
yeah,
it's kind of like it's their life,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
make that call on Thursday trying to anticipate it. I have to tell you, about 11 o'clock when it poured down, I kind of said, thank you, because they made the right call,
I know.
If we would have awakened that day and it would have been sunny skies and everything, I think everybody
Uh-huh.
would have felt bad. So
I said the same thing.
yeah,
Thank God.
that was a good deal.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Mayor. Good things going on. That's a wrap for this week's Fair Game Laguna Beach. Get out there in town and enjoy yourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. See you next week.